Hey, it's Joe AMoia, founder and creator of GPSforlove.com. I recently received an email from one of the members of our GPS for Love community who was having trouble moving on because she was having a really difficult time getting over her ex. And it's something I see all the time with the members of our community. How do I get over this? I've had my heart broken. What can I do? So today what I want to do is create a video which 3 concrete steps that will give you a much greater chance of getting your ex out of your head and out of your life. Now, the first thing we want to talk about is step 1. You have to realize is that healing is a process. There is no magic bullet. There is no quick fix. When you've had your heart broken, you've been devastated, you've been betrayed, you've been blindsided, you'd be inhuman to go, okay, I'm over it. That's just not how it works. You have to realize, just like you cut your hand, there's a healing process that has to go on. Now, I believe that there are definitely things that you can do to help speed up that healing process. Like if it was a wound, you got to keep it clean, you got to keep it bandaged, you got to make sure that no dirt gets in, and all those things will allow the natural healing process to work the way it's designed to work. I think it works the same way when your heart is broken and your heart needs to heal. So I'm going to give you some tips that are going to help with that. So first and foremost, you got to realize that it is a process. It does take time. So what are some things that you can do to speed up that process? Well, number one, the first thing you need to do is you need to close the door completely. You cannot start healing if you're constantly focusing on how you've been hurt, or believing that he's going to come back or it's going to change, and you keep holding out. You'll never go forward. I remember with my very first girlfriend, we dated for 3 years and she broke my heart, and we had a great relationship. And we tried to remain friends, but every time I spoke to her, it was like I was getting a knife in the heart. It was like I had an open wound and someone was pouring salt in it. And I ultimately got to the point where I realized, you know what, I can't keep doing this, because there was a part of me that kept believing that, maybe things will change. And then I was always sitting back wondering about what she was doing and who she was with. So I couldn't start healing. So one day she called me and I just said, you know what, I can't do this anymore. And I literally hung up the phone. And I said, don't ever call me again. And at that moment, I was able to start healing. Okay, it started the healing process. So that's one thing you can do. The second thing you can do, because very often when we're having a hard time getting over our ex, it's because we feel lonely. So you have to do stuff which starts filling up that loneliness void. So I'm a big believer in doing stuff that lights you up, doing stuff that you can look forward to, doing stuff that you can be excited about. Because this is an interesting thing about your brain. Okay, your brain can't focus on the good and the bad at the same time. Okay, so you're either focusing on the good, the things that are exciting, the things that are filling you up. And when you start doing those things, you'll notice, hey, you know what? I'm not thinking about him as often. And the more and more time goes on, you'll think of him less and less until he's completely out of your system. And another thing you need to do is you need to simply accept that it's over. We're going to talk about this in the third step, but it's something that's really, really, really important. You just have to realize that, you know what, it sucks. It's not the way I want it to be, but it's over. And don't give it any more meaning than that. Doesn't mean you'll never find somebody else. Doesn't mean you'll never find a great guy who you have chemistry with, that's a great lover, who had all those qualities and more. It doesn't mean that. Just simply accept that, shit, it's over. It sucks, but it's over. Okay. So that's simply the first step, is realizing that healing is a process. Getting over your ex is a process. And those things will help speed up a little quickly. Now, if you really want to start speeding things up, this is something I do with my clients, is I have them sit and actually make a list of the pros and cons. I just did this recently with a client who, when I first started working with her, she was telling me, she was heartbroken because she had such amazing chemistry with this guy and he was everything she really wanted. And when we made a list, and she saw it in black and white, she's like, you know what? Yeah, I had some good chemistry at times, but the reality was this guy was an asshole. Okay? He was never there for me. He always made me wrong. He blamed me for everything. He would literally leave for weeks at a time. Okay? He would check out. He would disrespect her continuously. He simply treated her like, because she was a very pretty and attractive woman, he treated her like a trophy wife. And whenever it was good for him, then he was there for her. But if it was inconvenient for him, or he had something else going on, he had to be out with his friends, he'd drop her like a hot potato. So it was amazing when all of a sudden she's like, wow, this guy's so amazing. And she saw it in black and white, and she saw it actually next to each other. She's like, this guy was a really dirtbag. So that's something that you can do, is literally make a list on one piece of paper, draw a line down the center, put pros and cons, good or bad, and simply write down everything good and bad about the guy. And when you'll see it, you'll go, wow, the cons so far outweigh the pros. Or what you'll see, there'll be a lot of good things, but there'll be one really bad thing, like maybe the guy cheats, maybe the guy is disrespectful, maybe the guy's emotionally abusive. And that one thing is so important that it far outweighs all of the benefits or all of the pros. Okay, so that's the second thing, is make a list of the pros and cons. And the third part, now this is the one that sometimes requires some deep soul searching. This is where you need to take some mirror time. And you really need to take a good look in the mirror and ask yourself, why am I having such a hard time holding on? And when you really take that good look and you get honest with yourself, what you're going to notice is that it comes down to a fear. And it's usually one of two things. The fear is usually, you know what? I had a really good time. There was a lot of good things with this guy, and I'm afraid I'm never going to find someone else. You know, he might have been, you know, incredible in bed. He might have been really attractive, maybe really funny. You might have a lot of things in common that you never had before. And so there's a part of you that believes, I'm never going to find that. And that scares the hell out of you, which is cool, because then you've identified what the real problem is. And then you can look at that, and then you can deal with that. And that will help you to move on. And the second fear, and this is the one that's really on a deeper unconscious level, the reason you're holding on and focusing on all of that is because you're afraid of opening up and getting hurt again. See, you can't open yourself up if you stay where you're at. Okay? You can't get hurt again if you're in an emotional place where you're focusing on the past and what's not right and what's broken. Okay? So, you know, the human mind, the unconscious mind, is very tricky and it's very sneaky. Very often when we've been hurt on such a deep emotional layer, we've created these unconscious strategies to protect ourselves and to keep ourselves from getting hurt again. And unfortunately, those unconscious strategies which are protecting us in the short term are preventing us from having the long-term result that we really want. So if you're afraid of getting hurt, it may keep you from getting your hurt and getting your heart broken, but it actually prevents you from opening up and finding love again and having the kind of relationship you really want. So you'll never get hurt, but the hurt of never finding love and never being vulnerable and never sharing your life with someone, I believe, is so much greater than having your heart broke. Because the reality is, even if you have your heart broke, that doesn't mean that you can't find love again. But this is all the stuff that happens unconsciously. Now, I know I threw a lot at you today, but you know, this is something I hear all the time, and I want to create something really important that will really help you say, how can I move on? What do I need to do? Because I believe that in life, whenever you struggle, there are always things you can do, things you can learn, which will help you improve your situation so that you can get the results you really want. So what I invite you to do is to take a good look in the mirror. You know, listen to this video and see what's come up for you. You know, what's preventing you from moving on, and what do you need to do? What's the one step that you need to commit to that'll help you to start and get over your ex, to start the healing process? So after you do that, what I'd love for you to do is share what you've discovered and what you're going to do below with the members of our community. Because what I want you to do, the purpose of the GPS for Love community, is to help you see you're not alone. You're not the only one going through what you're going through. And so when you see other people going through it, it's like, hey, cool. There are other people who are just like me. And then we can share with each other the things that we're learning, the things that we're experiencing that will help us move the journey along much quicker and much faster. So ultimately, that you can have that awesome rocking relationship that you desire and deserve. As always, it's an honor and privilege to be with you. We'll see you next time. Much love.